Hey everyone, Dr. Zeo here again, and today we're here to talk about Power Rangers Dino Fury, Season 2, Episode 12, Ultimate Mystery. And this time around we have an Amelia focused episode with a little bit of appearance by Pop Pop, Annie, and Stan from Buzz Blast. So let's go ahead and just dive right into it. As always, we have our summary, likes, dislikes, conclusion, and then we close out with our question of the week. So the episode starts off with Amelia, Stan, Annie, and Pop Pop outside of Area 62. So we're finally gonna get our information about Area 62 from Pop Pop, or so it seems. In reality, Pop Pop's a little bit apprehensive about being there in the first place. He thinks that there's gonna be some sort of radiation leak, but everyone else has to calm him down and tell him, "Hey, we're outside of Area 62. We're far enough away that there's no chance of that happening. We have a Geiger counter, and we know that this area is safe." Even when the interview does start, though, he doesn't really give them any answers. He tells them, "Hey, I encountered ghosts, people from other dimensions, and some other things," but he's being really facetious. He doesn't actually, aside from telling them he was a janitor, he had janitorial duties, he doesn't actually go into any details about what creepy or mysterious things or spooky things he saw during his time at Area 62. The interview does end up ending, though, when Stan gets a message on his phone and Pop Pop misinterprets that as a radiation leak. He ends up running into the forest, trips into a thing of berries, but in reality, the message that Stan got on his phone was a viral video notification, which turns out to be a Bigfoot sighting somewhere in the Pine Ridge Forest. So at this point, everyone disbands. Amelia, Annie, and Stan go back to Buzz Blast to report to Jane. Amelia, Annie, and Stan want to pursue the Bigfoot thing, but Jane tells them to stay on the Area 62 beat with Pop Pop because they can surely get some information about this for Amelia's mystery show. After she leaves, Amelia takes out some folders from her desk and tells Annie and Stan, "Hey, we're going to keep on going with the Bigfoot thing. Here's some folders. Here's some things that I've collected about some supernatural events. Look over the Bigfoot folder." And then she gets a call from Solon and tells her that, "Hey, you need to get back to the base. This is urgent." So Amelia teleports back to the base. Meanwhile, Annie and Stan continue looking in the folder for Bigfoot, and they find an article stating that Bigfoot is the one who created Dinohenge. Now, we as the viewers know that that's not the case. 65 million years ago, when Zato and his team arrived on Earth, that's when it was created by the Morphin Masters to help give Zato and his team their powers. But nonetheless, Annie and Stan do not know that, so they go off to Dinohenge to pursue this part of the story and maybe catch an eye on Bigfoot. Meanwhile, back at the base, the Rangers get a call from none other than General Shaw from Power Rangers Beast Morphers. General Shaw tells them, "Hey, we've had a prison break. The Beast Morphers Rangers are over here dealing with the prison break and some of the monsters. Meanwhile, there is a monster that's been sighted on its way over to Pine Ridge, so be on the lookout for that." A few minutes later, that monster is found. The Rangers teleport in. It turns out to be none other than Lothorn, who he says he's the cousin of Lokar, who was a villain we saw in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers episodes 39 and 40, the Doomsday two-parter. And Lothorn more or less lives up to his lineage. He puts the Rangers through some work. They don't end up defeating him in this battle. He ends up teleporting away, and the Rangers are forced to regroup back at the base to kind of figure out what to do from there. Meanwhile, Annie and Stan appear at Dinohenge, so does Lothorn, so they, go hide behind one of the statues and call the Rangers. Lothorn's there because he starts attacking the Dinohenge statues. His objective is to cut the Rangers off, or will destroy the statues and cut the Rangers off from the Morphin Grid so that they're powerless, right? We don't know. He does mention that he has a boss. We don't know who said boss is, but doesn't take that much to guess, who exactly it is. Meanwhile, the Rangers, they teleport back onto Dinohenge. Amelia gets Stan and Annie out of there, while the Rangers, they end up teleporting Lothorn back into the city. They end up having a fight. They still don't beat Lothorn, who then grows giant size, so they have to break out the Primal Ultrazord to beat him. After that, the Rangers go Amelia goes back to the back to Buzz Blast and apologizes to Annie and Stan for, essentially putting them in danger. And we get our lesson of the day to listen to your mentor or something like that. And then the Rangers, they ask Amelia, why are you so dead set on looking into supernatural stuff? So Amelia answers them by taking out one more folder in her desk labeled Mom and Dad. And she tells them, my parents, they disappeared in a fire or they were lost in a fire. And I've been so fixated on looking into these supernatural things because I'm trying to get a clue as to, what happened with my parents and, where they may or may not be. Pop Pop doesn't really like talking about that. So it's kind of up to me to figure out what happened. And the Rangers reassure her that, you're the best there is at this kind of thing. You are going to find your parents in the future. So after that, the Rangers get a call from Solon to go back, and General Shaw basically wants a debrief. And, they tell her what happened. She tells them, hey, the Beast Morphers Rangers got everything under wraps, so we're all good to go. But Lothorn was sent to you as a distraction. There was one monster who escaped, and the person who orchestrated the whole prison break in general was none other than Lord Zed himself. So Lord Zed is back on Earth, and we get a nice little security camera footage of Lord Zed walking and then destroying the camera. And end scene for the episode. So let's go ahead and talk about our likes for the episode. First things first, General Shaw appearing. I really do like the fact that we've had General Shaw in this episode and Mick back an unexpected guest in season 1. The fact that they're bringing back not necessarily side characters, but non-Ranger characters, especially mentors in Dino Fury, is refreshing. This is a non-anniversary season. If anyone's returning, you would expect that to be a Ranger or Ranger adjacent character, whether it's a Sixth Ranger, Primary Ranger, or something of that nature. So the fact that they've went out of their way to bring back, Mick and General Shaw, people who are not Rangers themselves. Well, technically Mick's not a Ranger. He had that one moment. But to bring back people who aided the Rangers, Ranger allies, that's good. We don't really see that kind of appreciation for these people who are imperative to the Rangers, core mission in other seasons. Like that's some good stuff right there. And I don't really doubt that COVID had some sort of part in General Shaw and Mick coming back. But I really do hope that going into season 30, Cosmic Fury, we get more mentors who return or more allies to the Rangers who return, in addition to Power Rangers in general returning to say hello and help the Cosmic Fury Rangers in their battles. Another like I had for the episode is the fact that they use what I would assume to be unused Go Busters footage for the Beast Morphers little fight segment we got there. That was nice and really unexpected and a creative way of using footage that we didn't use during Beast Morphers 2-season run. Another thing is just more great teleportation moments. I've mentioned it before, but I like seeing civilians getting teleported. So Amelia teleporting Annie and Stan out of Dinohenge was good. Even better was Zato lunging at Lothorn to teleport him out of Dinohenge. Again, love the different ways and the more urgent ways that Power Rangers is using teleportation with Dino Fury. Another thing I liked in the episode was Lothar had a line before, turning himself into a giant where he said, "Go big or go home." He used this pocket gigantifier on himself, and Zato followed that up with, once he was done growing, Zato followed that up with, "You can still go home." And that was a nice little quip from Zato, and I really did appreciate that. I forgot to mention it during my summary, but Scrozzle is also back. So Lord Zed, the main point of the whole breakout was not only to distract the Rangers, but to get Scrozzle out of the Grid Battle Force's hands. So somehow Scrozzle's going to come into play and help Lord Zed with his plans, and I'm so excited. I love Scrozzle back in Beast Morphers, so I'm excited to see what they do with him going forward in Dino Fury and how he plays into Lord Zed's plans. But speaking of quips, let's go ahead and talk about my dislikes for the episode. So first things first, I didn't really like how Pop-Pop was utilized in this episode. Like, he was just a joke character. This is a man who has really important or who has a first-hand account of all the weird stuff or weird sketchy government operations that happen in Area 62, and yet the episode opens with the tease that we're going to get some of that information, and yet it's just a comedic scene. I didn't like that. I wish they would have at least hinted at something, if not had Pop-Up outright tell us something, if not anything, beyond I was a janitor and that's really it. Like, I understand that he's apprehensive about talking about Area 62, but you would think that because he's doing an interview for his own granddaughter, or not granddaughter, you'd think that he would, say at least something to help with the fact that she has an interview for her work. Like, this, take it seriously, at least a little bit, But that's really my dislike there. Another thing I didn't like about this episode was Lothorn himself. He says that he's the nephew of Lokar, which brings with it some assumptions, right? We are led to assume that he's an all-powerful villain, which that's true. The Rangers have a really tough time beating Lothorn in this episode. They don't actually beat him outright outside the Megazord battle, and he ends up saying that I'm the nephew of Lokar, and I've trampled galaxies before, and that's intimidating, and I can believe that from his actions in this episode. But my main issue is that I wish that they had taken an additional episode to beat him. It would have been nice, not just that, I'm not asking for a two-parter, I just wish that he had stayed around for just one more episode to really hammer the point home that this is a guy who you need to take seriously, and who, the Rangers aren't going to have an easy time beating him, because my man got beat with the Primal Ultrazord. I felt like that was somewhat of a cop-out, if that makes sense. But yeah, let's go, speaking of Lothorn, let's go ahead and talk about the overabundance of jokes in this episode. The Rangers keep making jokes about his feet, about his spine. Like, it was a lot. It was a lot. And I didn't like it. Like, it made the episode difficult to rewatch, and that was really, really bothersome. Like, they joked about all of this stuff way too often, and it just made it a little bit unpleasant. One more thing I didn't like about this episode was the weird fact that the Rangers didn't notice that Annie and Stan were up on Dino Henge, and that Lothorn was up on Dino Henge. Even when he started attacking the Dino Henge statues, there was no sort of security alert in the base. They had to get a call from Annie before they realized that, hey, something's going on right above our base. It just made me think, don't you all have some sort of security system? Like, in the episode Ancient History, just after Ion's debut episode, when Ion teleported to Dino Henge, the Rangers knew that. They saw it on the camera. They got an alert about that. I don't understand how that didn't happen in this episode, and it's a really weird inconsistency that really shouldn't have been there. But yeah, those are all my likes and dislikes. Overall, again, I didn't really like this episode. I think the overabundance of jokes really, kind of hampered the seriousness of this supposed episode, or the supposed seriousness of the episode. And again, it made it more difficult to go back to this episode on further rewatches. Additionally, again, I wish Lothorn could have stayed around for an additional episode. Doesn't really hurt the episode too much, just a minor dislike of mine. But let's go ahead and talk about our questions of the week. First and foremost, and the most obvious, is what exactly is Lord Zed's plan for Scrozzle? We know that Scrozzle is a genius. We know that he can travel between dimensions, and he can also build himself robots and Megazords, or giant Megazord-like items. So, how's Lord Zed going to utilize Scrozzle's abilities in his quest for whatever that may be? Like, I'm excited to see how the two work together. And I guess what happened to Amelia's parents? We don't really get much new information here in this episode. I don't really recall us knowing that they had disappeared in a fire, or something had happened to them in a fire. I think Pop last said that they disappeared in mysterious, or were lost in mysterious circumstances. So the fact that there was a fire involved is new information. But that's really it for this video. Those are the only two questions I have this time around. But yeah, let me know what y'all thought about the episode in the comments below. And as always, please like, subscribe, and comment on this video. It does help me for future videos, and does help me with the YouTube algorithm. But until next time, I'm Dr. Zio. Thank you again for watching. I do appreciate it. Please watch the future videos as well. In the meantime, though, Omicron boosters are available at Walgreens and CVS. Go get your boosters. Still stay, still stay masked up and everything. Be careful around there because COVID is not a joke. But until next time, though, thank you as always for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Ciao.